Welcome back to the Stories That Inspire series. This one here today is a simple, popular, yet powerful story. It's been around for a while, but I hope it'll make you think and rethink about yourself. Story goes something like this. A cargo ship's engine breaks down. Those on board try everything, but nothing works. All efforts are of no avail. Fear is slowly gripping them as to what will now happen to their ship and to the crew. Captain calls his old friend, who recommends an experienced old hand, an experienced troubleshooter who specializes in just these sort of things. Captain calls a troubleshooter who agrees to visit and check what's going on with the engine of the ship. A smaller boat is arranged and sent out to receive our troubleshooter. Troubleshooter arrives in style and inspects the engine room and all the equipment very quietly for the next half an hour or so. His manner is serious, his gaze is stern as he goes about his inspection. And then finally he stops at one particular part of the engine, examines it carefully, pulls out a hammer from his toolkit and gently taps the gears a couple of times with his hammer. Voila! The engine suddenly roars back to life. The crew is overjoyed. There are high fives everywhere. Captain thanks the troubleshooter profusely and asks him to send his invoice to him by mail. They exchange pleasantries and our troubleshooter heads back. His visit lasted for about 1 hour, about 60 minutes altogether. A week later, the captain receives the invoice from the Troubleshooting Incorporation, from the person who fixed his engine. And he's shocked to see the invoice. $10,000 for the short visit and a few taps of the hammer? That is outrageous. I'm going to ask for an itemized bill from this fellow, says the captain. So he calls the troubleshooter and he tells him, you know what, that $10,000 bill that you sent me for the 1 hour that you spent here is outrageous. I need a breakdown of that invoice, please. Sure, said the troubleshooter. I can give it to you right now. Here it goes. Hitting the engine with the hammer, $1. Knowing where to hit exactly, $9,999. Know your worth, my friends. Know your worth. There are some who overestimate themselves, and eventually that leads to their decline. But most of us, we underestimate ourselves and we don't know our worth and we sell ourselves short. Well, wait, before you get fired up to ask more from your clients or from your employer, wait a second and ask yourself, have I committed myself to becoming exceptionally good at something or not? Are you an individual who's creating mediocre work, or are you somebody who's committed to excellence? Are you on the path of becoming so good that it becomes difficult for the world to ignore you? That really is the point here. Devote your life to your craft. I don't care what it is. Programming or plumbing, building houses or building companies, running hotels or hairdressing. Become so good at something that it becomes difficult to ignore your services and ignore the value that you add. Be the sort of person who can solve problems, because problem solvers and troubleshooters will always be in demand. Be that person who can solve problems. I don't care how much progress artificial intelligence or machine learning or all these technologies make. In the end, you need that exceptional human creativity, innovation, critical thinking, leadership, empathy, those human skills to solve problems. So I urge you to honor your craft, my friends. Honor your struggles and failures. Honor your sacrifices and your commitment, and know your worth. It is said one evening when the famous painter Pablo Picasso was having a drink at a bar, a lady approached him. Mr. Picasso, I'm such a huge fan. It's so good to see you, sir. Could you sketch something for me, please, real quick, for me as a souvenir, please? I'll pay you for it. Picasso grabs a napkin, which is there on the counter, and sketches something real quick for the lady. And the lady, she reaches out to collect the napkin. Picasso withholds it and says, "Ma'am, wait a second, you owe me $100,000. $100,000? Exclaimed the woman. But Mr. Picasso, it took you only 30 seconds to create that little sketch. Picasso crumpled up the napkin and put it into his jacket pocket. He said, "No, ma'am, you're wrong. It took me 40 years of my life. It took me 40 years of my life to be able to do it for you in 30 seconds. Know your worth, my friends. Know your worth and become very good, exceptionally good at something in your life." Thanks for tuning in.